All right, guys, welcome back. Hope everybody is doing well. Welcome to, if you're new here, obviously a new channel for us smallmouth chasers. Obviously loving to go river bassing for some smallmouth. And today we're going to talk about NOAA, okay? National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, all right? And the Hydragraphs that I post on my JL Scott Fishing and Eats page on Facebook, and also my other channel, JL Scott Fishing on YouTube. And a lot of people have asked me questions about why I use these and why are they so important and how can they help me get on more smallmouth. And it's a critical aspect, as I talk about it a lot, is I believe that the number one thing that I focus on, at least in my river systems that I fish, is water depth. That's the first thing I look at, and I want to know about what's happening in my river, okay? Because 9 times out of 10, that depth indicator or predictive model, which is what a hydragraph really is, okay, in terms of the water and the depth and flow of that water in your river, is where I start to plan how I'm going to fish, what my intentionality is going to be on the river, where I believe the smallmouth are going to be, predicated upon history and also behaviors that we talk about, all right? And that's what this channel is going to be all about. It's going to be all about smallmouth. It's going to be all about smallmouth behaviors, all about smallmouth fishing tips and tactics, all about access to some of the best smallie rivers in our region. That's from New York all the way down to Virginia and West Virginia, Maryland, okay? Those are the river systems that we are going to be hitting in 2024, and that are going to be on this channel, okay? And one of the interesting things that I want people to understand is before I plan a trip, this is one of the vital things that I use and utilize to plan my trip out. Whether or not, am I going to wade fish? Am I going to bring, which kayak am I going to bring? Am I going to bring a jet? Am I going to do the jet boat? Am I going to take a jet boat out? Or am I going to take an inflatable, more of like the inflatable raft with a motor on it? Okay. Am I going to take the skiff out? Okay. These are all the things that factor in, okay, when we're going to plan out where we're going to be in 2024. Okay. And all chasing these smallies all across the river. All across the region, predicated upon a lot of things like weather. Rising water, okay? Weather events, high water events, low water events, drought, flood, all these things all contribute to a different mentality of how you're going to approach that river, okay, when you're going to chase those smallies, okay? And that's what we're all about. We're all about chasing smallies, and we're all about getting more people in the water throughout the whole year. That's what this channel is predicated upon. This channel also has the Smallie Chaser River Bassin series component to it. So all of the anglers and events in that series, which is on Tourney X, will also be on this channel, highlighting those anglers on the video feeds, everything. We'll do some live feeds. All that kind of stuff is going to be here on this channel. So it's not going to be on, some of the good, juicy stuff might be on the JL Scott Fishing YouTube channel. But we're gonna focus here to kind of keep all our smallmouth stuff together, because there's just so much stuff to unwrap. And one of those things is this National Weather Service, National Ocean Atmospheric Administration's Hydragraph. It's easily accessible for your rivers that you can punch in just your river, or you can start here. And this is the NWS Mid-Atlantic River Forecaster Center. So this is where I'll go if I just want to quickly look at 3 or 4 different rivers, because I haven't decided yet where I want to go fish. And so it's Wednesday, okay? And so I'm looking to go fishing Friday and Saturday. So I'm going to look now and check out what's happening in our region. And this is our region, right? This is it. This is where, we're going to look for what we got going down. So right here on the upper Potomac, that's the Monocacy, okay? The Monocacy is a trib of the Potomac River, and this is near Frederick, and this is what comes up. That is the current Monocacy River near Frederick, Maryland at Interstate 70 Hydragraph, okay? And this gives you a predictive model of what is happening and what is going to happen. Again, prediction, okay, of what the water is going to be like on Friday, okay, and Saturday, all right? And so you can scroll through however you want to scroll through, okay, from Susquehanna down to Monocacy, the Upper Potomac, okay, all these things you have the ability, okay, to click on, all right? And so this was the Monocacy at 2.3 feet as of today, Wednesday, and it's looking like it's going to drop another 0.3 inches. So it's going to get down to 2 feet, okay, by Saturday. Now, Monocacy was 7 feet in portions of it a week ago, okay, after the high water events. So we're coming off some of the highest water event we've had. Now, not flood stage, but just high water. We had 2 major storms, major rain events that hit the region in December. And we're slowly working our way back down to normal levels, okay? That's the Monocacy. This is Point of Rocks, okay? I always look at, if you're fishing the Upper Potomac, I always look at Little Falls, which is closer to D.C., which is below River Bend, below Great Falls, okay? It's way Carter Rock. It's down, way down towards D.C. And then I look at Edwards Ferry, and then I look at Point of Rocks. That gives me the Piedmont section of the Upper Potomac River for smallmouth, and I can gauge. I know what the river is going to be like if that Little Falls gauge is, say, 3 feet. Okay? If it's 5 feet, I know exactly what that Piedmont section below Seneca Landing is going to look like. Okay? Same with Edwards Ferry. Now, Edwards Ferry is normally 5 feet is the norm. Probably the average. 5 feet, 5 feet. It's just deeper there. The river is just deeper. If you look at the topography of the river and the land around the river, it's just deeper at Edwards Ferry. Okay? And so you always find deeper areas there, but it actually rose considerably, okay, during the high water events. So Point of Rocks is at 2.5 feet today, and it will be likely be at about 2 feet, same as the Monocacy, on Saturday, okay? This should be Seneca Creek at Dawsonsville. Seneca Creek enters in to the Potomac River, and you can work your way down. There's your Little Falls. That's the Little Falls gauge. So Little Falls is at 3.6 and looks like it's going to remain about 3.5 feet for the weekend. That tells me exactly that Seneca breaks to Pennyfield, to Swains Lock, to Riverbend, okay, what that water is really going to be like. It's going to be about 3 feet, okay, 3 to 3.5, 3, depending on as it descends down into the Great Falls area, okay? You got Harper's Ferry. It's a Shenandoah at Millville, okay? It's going to change. It's going to roughly stay pretty consistent, but it's changed. It's about 0.3, 0.4 feet lower than what it was. Goose Creek is a creek that enters the Upper Potomac, okay, from the Virginia side, okay? It's another great creek. The mouth of that creek actually has some largemouth, too, for those interested in chasing the greenfish. And then across from Goose Creek, from Virginia side to the Maryland side, is Edwards Ferry. Okay, now Edwards Ferry was 6 feet on Saturday. It's now 4.5 feet, and it will be 4 feet. So that's how you read this gauge. Okay, that's what it's showing you in that gauge that you're looking at. Is it's showing you predictively where the river is going to be tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. Okay. Usually gives you that 3 or 4 day heads up on what they predict is going to be happening. Okay, Edwards Ferry a week ago was more like 8, 9, 10 feet, okay, in most areas. Now, Potomac River is obviously, as you well know, my home water, but you can come up to Harrisburg, okay, and you can click on the gauges, okay, for Juniata, for Susquehanna, okay? What I also like about it is for those who fish the Susquehanna for the Kayak Adventure Series that's coming in August, of 2024 is it's got all the gauges that you're going to need to plan your trip, okay? You can see all these gauges here. I just did an article on some of the best New York river smallie destinations. And obviously Susquehanna, New York, Susquehanna River in New York was one of them, along with the Mohawk. I also, did a few other rivers that you actually want to consider that you might not, know anything about. Because most of what you hear about New York is St. Lawrence and Erie and Champlain and Lake George, Lake Oneida. Okay, but there are a lot of rivers and a lot of that feed those lakes, or those lakes are actually the beginnings of a lot of these rivers. And some of these rivers like Mohawk are going to go east-west. Some of these rivers like Susquehanna wind down into Pennsylvania, back up into New York, and then back down into Pennsylvania, as you can see here. But here we go up that, up north. You can kind of see here what we're looking at in terms of declining as well. Look at that. That was 17 feet. In Waverly, it was 5 feet. Now it's going to drop down below 4 feet. Okay, all along here is your Susquehanna. Okay, and then the Delaware. And so you can use this to check out any river system that's got any of the NOAA gauges, okay? Look, there's Hancock, Maryland, okay? Potomac River, 5.98 feet is going to drop down to 4 feet this weekend, okay? That's Upper Potomac. Okay, the creek coming in at Fairview, Maryland. Look at that. It's dropping another foot coming in at that mouth. All right, let's see we get down here in Virginia, South Fork, South Branch, North Fork, Shenandoah River at Strasburg. Look at that. Flat at 2 feet, okay? And this is how you want to use it, 1.5 feet at Front Royal. Okay. Luray, 2 feet currently. And as you work your way down, you can kind of see exactly the changes in your river system. Okay. And that's how you want to use this. Now, this is fundamentally a great starting point. NWS, the National Weather Service Middle Atlantic River Forecast Center, where you can just quickly hit the different areas, maybe on the same river, because you want to pick your access point, right? You want to get on it. You want to go for a shallow bite. Maybe you want to, and you're also looking at, okay, predictive modeling says the water is going to be rising in the next 2 days. You know that spinnerbait bite is going to be on, okay? And so that's how you begin to look at what's going to happen. Is the water going to be clear come the weekend, or is it going to be muddy and stained up? What's the weather? Are we getting any rain in? Are the creeks still dumping water into the main river channel, which is going to muddy up the creek mouths, okay? All of those factors are stuff that you want to look at, okay? When you're looking at this. This also shows you in terms of the gauge, the coloration here matches no flooding, okay? Yellow would be near flood stage. Minor flooding, major flooding, or moderate flooding and major flooding, okay? So you'll know. And over time, what you do is you basically memorize, okay, today the river's at 3 feet. This is what I learned. This is where they were biting. This is where they were, okay? Fundamentally, bass fishing is all about behavior, okay? It is all about finding the right behavior, okay, in terms of relating it to what the bass behavior is, okay? And so when you know these things replicate over and over, all right? They're going to be, for example, a cold front's moving in, okay? A cold front moves into our region. Smallmouth bass are going to move and displace from the middle of the river and relate to any kind of structure they can. That structure could be rock. That structure could be timber. It could be a fallen tree stuck in the river from a high water event coming down the river. Wherever it is, they're going to relate to that structure for security, okay? But that structure and that rock is near current flow, all the better, okay? That makes it a prime area. But remember, this time of year, in the wintertime, they're going to want stable water. They're not going to be in that cold current water, okay, that's rushing down. They're not going to be in that because it takes too much of their energy, okay? And so they're going to be off it a little bit, back when we call like an eddy or behind a rock where there's stable water, where that temperature of that water is stable. That water in the seam, outside the seam, in the current flow is not stable. It is changing. It's colder than at the banks. That's why, in my opinion, you're going to find a lot of smallmouth bass up shallower than you think right now, with the weather being what the weather is and the temperature being what the temperature is outside, because that current flow water temperature is actually colder than it is at the bank. And they can stay aligned to the bank or shoreline areas and not exert as much area, especially when we're talking about only 2.5 feet. If your river is only 2.5 feet deep and it's 2.5 feet in the middle and up to 2 feet and then going sloping up that bank, there's really not that much of a difference. Okay. So it's all about temperature. And if you can find some clear water, even better. Okay. And so you want to think about that. And that's the kind of stuff that's going to get you, you're going to be able to identify when you get out at the ramp or get out on the water. Okay. In terms of the clarity, because sometimes that hydrograph, while you think that it's rising water is because of a storm front, rain or all that it may empty a lot of storm drain. It may empty a lot of creek. It may empty a lot in the river. It doesn't always necessarily impact the water clarity as much as you think on the opposite side of the bank or in the middle of the river channel, as opposed to the creek mouths. Okay. And it just really all depends on that rate of flow, pushing how much mud and how much are coming out of those drains into the river. I put a video out on the JL Scott Fishing YouTube channel of the actual drain, the dumping. I mean, it's basically, one of those, I guess, like 2 feet or whatever. So pipe drains, it sits right on the water, just dumping water out. Okay. That's coming from the neighborhoods, and it's coming from the creeks and all that stuff, the streams that are all back adjacent above the river, coming down in that and emptying into the river. And so you can pay close attention to that. So this is, as I said before, you can find it at weather.gov/MARFC. I'll also put this in the description of this video for you, so you can link this up. And it's just an easy first start, because like I said, you can click on all of these and you can get what you're looking for. There's the Rappahannock. It's going to be James River, Cartersville, James River, West Ham. That's in Richmond, Virginia. You can just kind of check out what you want. And that way you can make your travel like, hey, I'm going to go up to the Moxie. I'm going to go down to the James. I'm going to go to the Upper Potomac. I'm going to go out to West Virginia. I'm going to go to the New River. Okay, I'm going to go to the Maury River. I'm going to go up to Susquehanna, because the conditions are all different. Okay, and this is just a really quick starting point. Okay, I'm going to do a follow-up video, and we'll break down the actual hydrograph, okay, and really how you can actually utilize it, all right? But it's very, very simple just to use the predictive model, okay? There are other things you'll be able to click on in sites. Keep in mind, this site, I'm not sure this spring, but they're revamping to the new office of water something in 2024. And I think this whole like, NOAA and everything is going to get revamped into that new water office with a new a new page website, a new kind of like thing. So I've got access into that new site already. And we'll kind of take a look at that and see how kind of like it shapes up and looks compared to the old site. But if you're looking for a specific river, you could just type in on Google NOAA and then your river. So the gauge, I'm sorry. If you know the gauge. If not, just punch in the river and see what happens. But I would go NOAA Point of Rocks, NOAA Edwards Ferry, NOAA Monocacy, NOAA, okay? And if there's more than one gauge, they'll come up. You can click on that gauge and you can kind of see what the river's looking at before you get out there, and you can start game planning your tackle, game planning, what you're going to need, okay? Cross-reference with the weather, the current weather that exists, precipitation, heat index, all the stuff throughout the year that you're going to want to know. It's going to influence how you are actually going to approach attacking that particular section of the river on that particular day, from determining whether or not what kayak you're going to take. You're going to take the inflatable. You're going to take the bonafide. You're going to take, you know what I mean? Or you're going to take the John boat out, or the jet boat, or the skiff. If you're looking at tidal stuff, like a tidal Potomac or the tidal James, you're going to take the skiff out. Okay. Because all that's predicated on how deep that water is, right? No one wants to be lugging 100+ pound Hobie, okay, on the upper Potomac or on the Monocacy, all right? You just don't when it's like less than like 2 feet of water. That bodes for a long day. So you want to have that information at your disposal before you decide to trailer up or car top whatever whatever boat platform you're going to use on that given day. But this is the National Weather Service, okay? Please utilize this, okay? And also from safety. It really gives you an idea of like some of the things that coming into your river, these high water events, if something's going to move 3, 4, 5 feet in like 2 days, safety. Remember, always wear that PFD no matter what, even if you're wade fishing in our rivers. It may not be the law everywhere, but just remember that, okay? During the wintertime, especially when this water is cold, always wear your PFD, even if, even if you're wade fishing or even if you're going, on the bank, you're out on the rocks or whatever, because it's 2 feet of water. So you can, a lot of places on the upper Potomac, you can bounce from rock to rock to rock all the way out to the middle of the river. You still want to make sure you have your PFD and have some, dry suit or something like that. It's going to keep you warm, especially when you're out of these temperatures and the water temperature is below 40 degrees. So you want to make sure that you're safe in that regard. But use this. It's free. It's a vital resource that you can use. It's going to help you plan out your day, and then in your journal, be able to make your notes on what the river was, what the temperature was, what the water temperature was, on any given day, and then what your catch rates were and what baits you utilized. Always have a journal, okay? It's the biggest tip I could give you for chasing smallies is always have a journal. And when you get home or when you get off and you're just taking a break and you're rehydrating or whatever, always jot down notes from every time you're out on the water. Where you found grass, where you found thermals, where you found structure that came down in the river, that inevitably at some point in the year is going to be underwater, right? All the things that you recognize, whether you came across, unusual, circumstances, like maybe you came into some muskie. Walleye now are prolific up and down in the Monocacy and in the upper Potomac now. So, if you're getting on the walleye and you're not looking for walleye, those notes help you like gauge, okay, what were the conditions, that you didn't find any smallmouth bass in your area, but you found the walleye, right? All that stuff's predicated on keeping a journal, okay, that you can easily reference back year over year over year. Another thing you can do is you could pin it. You can use your computer like this, and you could pin where you put your catches or pin where, you recognize all your structure, or you can put old school with a map and just highlight the map or pin. If you got a board at the house, one of those cork boards, you put a map on it. You can just pin, the structure. I always do grass, structure, and catches. Those are the three things that I always like to chart out, okay? And you can easily go to Potomac River Guide, and you could print out the maps, which would be like 8x10 maps. You could just print them out on your home printer and kind of put them up, and then use a highlighter, use a pen, wherever you want to do a marker and mark it out. And trust me, this stuff is incredibly beneficial. Remember, you're documenting behaviors, okay? It's all about behaviors. Bass tend to repeat their behaviors, okay? And so it's like once you get on that cycle of understanding where they're going to be before you actually see them, okay? You know where you're going to target them, okay? That is what changes the game than going out there in the wintertime blind, okay, and fishing in the cold. Because remember, bites are scarce to begin with, right? So you want to make sure you're starting at the right place, okay, based on history and behavior and what, where they should be because of what NOAA is telling you. Rising water, falling water, water temperature, okay, the precipitation outside, the cloudy day, sunny day, all these things are going to impact that behavior. What's going to drive them to the bank? What are the bait fish looking like at this time of year? They're slow, they're lethargic. Are they balling up in your lake or reservoir if you fish one of those things? Okay, I'm not a big lake or reservoir guy. I'm a river guy. Okay, so I'm a river rat. So I focus on, they're still going to be kind of shallowy. Okay, so you're going to find pods of smallmouth, okay, 4s and 5s that are going to corral whatever bait fish they can, even in the colder months. Okay, it happens, especially when you're talking like 2.5, 3 feet of water. Okay. So use this data, put it to use. Let me know in the comments. Share the video to some of your other smallie chaser friends. Share it on Facebook. This is just a great resource for everybody. You don't have to be a smallmouth angler to utilize this. Look, there's no smallmouth down here. Okay, right? Okay, tidal Potomac, tidal Potomac, tidal James River. There's no smallmouth down there. Okay, but you can use that. Okay, and you can still use it. All right, to find out, all the different areas of what's going on in that habitat, so you can go chase the greenfish if you want to chase that thing. But I hope everybody enjoys the new channel coming in 2024. Please like and subscribe to this channel. Please share the channel. You can engage with me at JL Scott Fishing and Eats on Facebook. Send me a message if you'd like to have something featured, or if you'd like to come on the channel and talk about smallmouth bass fishing. You are more than welcome. Just reach out to me either on Facebook at JL Scott Fishing or Instagram JL Scott Fishing, and we'll do it. Okay, because that's what we're here about. This channel's all about. It's all about smallmouth. It's all about smallmouth angling. It's all about talking to people. What you're seeing on your river can obviously benefit someone else on their river, and that's how it works. That's what building a community is all about. And that's why I'm branching this off. My other YouTube channel, JL Scott Fishing and Eats, like 25,000 or so subscribers. This is brand new. We just started on January 1st, and we just kind of want to break off some of the smallmouth stuff because there's just so much value and there's so much stuff to cover in terms of smallmouth, as well as the Smallie Chaser River Bassin series and all those anglers, and help promoting those guys and what they're doing. Like I said, we've caught over 20 citations since October in our series. We want to highlight that, how they were caught, the river systems they were caught in. Talk about that. We're not spot burning. We're not telling you spots. Okay. We're going to talk generally out of the integrity and protect those anglers. Okay. But generally speaking, we'll talk about the rivers and the techniques and the access areas and all that stuff. And you can go and dial in your own fish. But this is just a great resource to use. Okay. If you have any questions at all about smallmouth or really anything bass related or industry related, don't hesitate. Reach out to me on JL Scott Fishing and Eats, and I will respond. All right, I will see you next time, chasers.